Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Woohoo! I love getting waves. Welcome to Unity of Charlottesville. As you can see, our senior minister, Reverend Don Lansky, is still on sabbatical. So he's off enjoying his time with his beloved wife, Patricia, whom most of us know, right? And we hope they're having a wonderful time. So today, never fear though, because today we have a fabulous guest minister, Reverend Richard Bunch. Yes, yes, yes. And I will share more with you about Reverend Richard as this service moves along. But we also have our wonderful Blair Jones, our very talented, gifting, smiling, beautiful music director, and her partner over here, Jim Paulson. Yes, so hi, Richard. Richard's happy to see them. Let's start with music. What do you say? If you're moved to stand up, please do.
You might win a battle, you could win a race, you could outrun your rivals, come in first place. You could lose your center in the push and the shove, or simply surrender and tune into love. Love's not a contest, it's just who we are. Both the light and the shadow are at home in the heart. Beyond the struggle, there's music to play and songs to be singing at the end of the day. Sing with us now. Love wins, love wins, all is well in the end. Love wins, love wins, love wins, all is well in the end. Love wins. Love knows no boundaries, it's the light in our eyes, familiar to all, universally prized. There's a world of compassion, and we're good to begin. We could just quit fighting and let love win. Love wins, love wins, all is well in the end. Love wins, love wins, love wins, all is well in the end. Love wins. When we're up against too much to ask, when we lose our resistance at last, and we realize love's got our back, love wins. For everyone, great and small, we are lifted as we fall. Kindness conquers all, love wins. Love wins, love wins, all is well in the end. Love wins, love wins, love wins, all is well in the end.
Yes, love wins, right? Love wins. That's what we're all about here at Unity Charlottesville. You can sit for a moment.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. So welcome once again to Unity of Charlottesville. We're glad, so glad you're here with us today. Those of you who are here in person and those of you watching on YouTube or Facebook, this is an incredible spiritual community, one that is based on love, friendship, and fellowship. And we do have fellowship today. I'll tell you more about that later. Our community welcomes all people, people of every faith, religion, lifestyle, belief system, political party, as well as sexual orientation and gender identity. Everyone is welcome. And now Reverend Richard will lead us in our opening prayer.
Thank you. I was ready for it. Let's take a moment. I need to, just to breathe. And as we breathe in, we experience the power of Spirit as guided by love. The power of love that opens our hearts, our minds, and creates within us that power to be divine expressions of all that is. To be able to see one another as the Christ. To look through our stuff and see the truth within. This morning, I give thanks for being able to be with you. And I invite you to open your heart, open your mind. As together we take a journey of love. As together we worship. As together we are in our oneness. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. So let us now join together in our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good omnipotence. And now it's time for that song. You know that song. Our welcome song. Please, if you're able, stand up and give a wave. If you're wearing green dot, hugs. Let's greet our neighbors.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Put your hands together.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
And this is the time during our service when we usually send our children off to kids' church. But Reverend Mark Boston is also on break today, so no kids' church today. So let us now, I believe I have a couple of messages to announce. Yes, here we are. Attention voting members, we are now accepting nomination for Unity's 2023 Board of Trustees. Please submit your nomination to the Unity office by Wednesday, August 17th. Okay, and I think we have another. If you would like to become a voting member of Unity of Charlottesville, There's a 2-session class that's required. The first session will be on Wednesday, September 14th on Zoom at 7:15 p.m. That's Unity Basics 1, which is the history of Unity. On Wednesday, September 22nd, on Zoom, also at 7:15, Unity Basics 2, what Unity teaches. And you're just have a wealth of information that you'll be gathering from these 2 brief sessions. So now, let us say together our mission statement. And let's say it like we really mean it. Here we go. Unity of Charlottesville empowers everyone to express their unique divinity, making a positive difference in the world.
The world moves fast, the spirit's slow, to where we think we need to go. When we move into passing gear, the song of love is hard to hear, till everything's so loud that we're alone with what we're missing. Listen. Somewhere beneath this sea of noise, we hear the angel's whispered voice. The song is there, the words are clear, and all we need is still right here. Listen. The harmony of wings in flight, the rising of the winds at night, the crashing of the ocean wave can call a heart that's half awake. The sound of every breath we take can free a soul from prison. Listen, listen. Somewhere beneath this sea of noise, we hear the angel's whispered voice. The song is there, the words are clear, and all we need is still right here. Listen, for all we're worth, the door to heaven is here on earth. The shout for joy, the softest prayer, the sound of love is in the air. Listen, listen. Somewhere beneath this sea of noise, we hear the angel's whispered voice. The song is there, the words are clear, and all we need is still right here. Listen, listen, oh, listen.
Thank you, Blair. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing our guest speaker today. Reverend Richard Bunch is currently retired, but he has served several Unity churches over his long career. How long have you been
26 years. I was 26 years as a
26
minister.
years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He's also been a past board member of Unity Worldwide Ministry and also still teaches several classes. So let's give him a warm Unity of Charlottesville welcome.
Thank you. Ah. There we go. Thank you very much for your energy and your introduction, okay? It's great. It's what I needed this morning, all right? Some of you wouldn't know, but I was late getting here this morning, and I don't like to do that, but I was. And so they got me hooked up, and I came up and sat on the stage. I kind of drove a little fast, but I made it here safely, thank goodness. And I am really glad to be back with each of you. I don't know if that's coming from this or where it's coming from. Is it an echo? Is there echo out there? Yeah. Is that better? Yeah. Good, thank you. Anyway, it's good to be back with you guys. I think for the last 6 or 7 years, I've spoken about once a year here. Thank goodness Don likes me and invites me back, okay? I know you've been through a few changes yourself, and Don and Patricia kind of went through the change that my wife and I went through. My wife retired after we were together for 10 years in ministry, and I stayed on 6 more years at Unity of Richmond. And you know, it was an interesting change, and I'm sure Don's found the same thing, and I'm sure that you miss Patricia from time to time, obviously. What a love and what a powerful person she is. So it's great to be back with you. Charles Fillmore, I want to tell you a bad joke. Has nothing to do with Charles Fillmore. I just read it. This fellow who was training people on how to use all of our digital messaging programs was training his guru on email. And he said, I have one problem. The guru will not accept or send attachment. Gurus don't get attached to anything. See, I warned you. I don't know why. I just wanted to tell it. I didn't. You know, I thought it was cute. But anyway, it has nothing to do with the message. Thank goodness. I don't think. Anyway, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity with Myrtle, really believed, and he really was early in his way of thinking, and a frontiersman just about in his way of thinking, and a mystic, many say, because he believed that science and theology, science and religion, science and faith work together, not against each other. I don't know about you, but when I was a child, and that was a long time ago, and some of you are much younger than I am, but when I was a child, you really didn't mix science and religion. You were supposed to be, you know, they were opposite polars. They were not together. They didn't work together. And of course, we know today that they do, and that what Charles Fillmore was talking about was very true. During the late or early 1900s, there was a fellow by the name of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He wrote a book called The Phenomenon of Man. And in that book, he wrote about evolution. The thing that's interesting is that he was a Jesuit priest, paleontologist, teacher in France at the Jesuit school, and he still came up with this theory that he wrote and sent into the Catholic Church. When that happened, because it was about evolution and science and faith coming together, that's what he believed. They were working together in the universe. And when that happened, the Catholic Church kind of got upset with him, and they sent him to China because they didn't want him talking about this evolution stuff. And when he went to China, he went as an archaeologist, paleontologist, and what he did is he was part of the people or group, team, that discovered Peking man. Interesting, huh? The church sent him away to get this nonsense out of his mind, and he ends up in China being on the team that finds or discovers Peking man. He was part of the team who discovered a tooth first, and then the skull, and then the full structure of the head. of Peking man, who was believed to have lived about 2.3 million years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. And so not only did that cement in his mind, this idea of evolution, but again, he started to write about it. And his books were not published until 1955, the year of his death, because the Catholic Church said he could not publish The Phenomenon of Man. If you've never read it, I recommend it highly. It's a hard read, I'll say that, from the standpoint that he is talking so scientifically, and yet at the same time it's an easy read because it makes sense, it's logical. What he said was that there was this Big Bang. Now this is in the 20s, okay? This Big Bang that took place. There was chaos, and then in Genesis he says what that first chapter is all talking about is this Big Bang that took place and put into imagination, through the power of love, the evolution of humankind. And he believed that it was the power of love that creates and sustains evolution. And he went through the whole process of subatomic particles becoming atoms, then becoming molecules, and then turning into cells, and it might not be accurate that way because I'm not a scientist, but turning into cells, and then cells each having intelligence. Now, this is in the 20s. Myrtle Fillmore said in the 1800s, late 1800s, that cells had intelligence, and actually would ask her cells to forgive her for some of the thoughts that she had about them when she was sick. So, what he said was that as these cells developed, they had the intelligence to be able not only to develop, but to develop in a different way so they could start to create what we know as the world today. They would start to create what was needed to come about with the perfect image of God. And that as that started to take place, that humankind would move from the physical evolution into the spiritual evolution. We would move from thinking, from non-reflective thinking to reflective thinking. That we are able to think about who am I and what is God and what's my relationship. And some say that didn't happen until about 30,000 years ago. That's a long time for me, but that's what they say. And it's taken a long time for us to really use our capacity to be reflective about who and what we are and how we want to show up. We're just starting into that evolution in the last 100 years, probably 150 years, when it comes to thinking of it from that perspective. And so Chardin said basically that, here we go here, let me get my notes here going again, sorry. What he said is that we would evolve to the point that we would reach the omega point, he called it. And the omega point was that point where we all can live together in peace and harmony, even though we are different. That we can respect each other, we can love each other, we can care about each other, we can see each other from the Christ within. He didn't use those words, but that's what he was saying, basically. And so, as he described this omega point, he said, that's what we're on the way to. That's what we're going to get to. And this is in the 20s. He became somewhat familiar with the early computers in the 30s and 40s and believed that the internet, he didn't call it the internet, but there would be a way of mass communications that would bring us together and closer, that would give us the ability to reach that omega point. And so the question I have today is the omega point just a pipe dream? Is it just a pipe dream as we look around today? And is it possible for us as a society, as people, as human beings and spiritual beings to live in peace with one another in such a way that we respect, admire, and learn from each other? And I would say that sometimes when we look around, it doesn't look that way. But I have an opinion about what's happening, and I'll share that in a minute. Because what Jesus said, and I think that our friend really emphasized, is that we will do greater works than these. Now, Chardin was saying that's possible. I can tell you as a child raised in a Baptist church, when I was taught about Jesus, the perfect man, the only Son of God, the guy that did nothing wrong, and he gave all these miracles. I mean, he produced all these miracles that I wrote about, and they said and Jesus said we can do better than he did. I'm going, that is crazy. That didn't make any sense to me. And it took me a long time for it to start to make sense to me. And so as I look at this idea of moving towards an omega point and how we work today, that, Jesus roamed around in about a 25-mile square area. And he didn't have the internet, obviously. I mean, he didn't have TV. He didn't even have a radio. And he certainly didn't have an iPhone. And so as we look at that, what's happened is today you and I can do greater works than what Jesus has done, because we can communicate in a greater way. We can share in a greater way. We can love in a greater way. And that power of love that has created all that we see and we experience in this universe and created us, that power of love is still at work today. One of Chardin's famous quotes is this: "Growing old is like being increasingly penalized for a crime you haven't committed." I've had a couple of days I felt like that. And but thank goodness, most of the days I feel great. And anyway, as Chardin, so he had a sense of humor is what I'm trying to say, okay? He also said, and this was the first time I think I read that, is we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That has kind of been my theme in the ministries I've been in, that we are spiritual beings. We really aren't. You can't be a spiritual being and a human being from my perspective. We think we're human beings because that's how we show up. That's what we're taught. But we really are spiritual beings. And we're having this spiritual experience together and sometimes alone so that we can grow and be spirit alive and active in the world. So I see ourselves, as I say it, spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in the human condition. And that kind of means it's not that everything that happens in the human condition is a spiritual experience. It means that whatever happens in the human condition, I can apply spiritual principles. And it then becomes a spiritual experience. So I'm not saying that when terrible things happen, that's a spiritual experience. It's how we respond and not react to that situation that determines that. And Chardin in his writing said, our duty as men and women is to proceed as if limits to our ability did not exist. We are collaborators in creation. I mean, Charles Fillmore wrote about that, talked about that, wrote about it. Had loads of affirmations to help us do that. To really understand that we have this divine ability, as divine mind, as divine idea that's created within us, to be a divine expression to one another. And to me, that's what it's all about. And so as we look back at Chardin, we find a man who was not only brilliant, but who also had a unique faith and who was able to apply the scientific things that he learned to the theology that he learned. And he was independent enough to write about it in such a way to give us guidance and understanding that we're not just an accident, that we're here for a purpose. And I'm not so sure that we can define the purpose sometimes, but I know this: if we show up as that spiritual person, if we show up as love, then we will create opportunities where purpose takes place in our lives. It's not so much what I want to be. It's not so much how I want to be. It's all about who and what I want to be. And so as we look at that, we start to look at the path for the religion of tomorrow. And are we on that one? And I think we're in a great place. Because it says, number one, that we have to wake up. We have to become aware of what and who we are. That's the first step. If we don't do that, then we're going to continue to do the same thing we've done over and over and over again. And then the second thing is we got to grow up. And I've got to tell you, at 50 years old, that was a really difficult thing for me, to grow up in such a way that I started to understand who I truly was and what I truly was. I didn't understand that until I was about 50 years old. And then I started the journey into unity. And then we've got to clean up. And this is where I come to the point that I do believe that the omega point is on its way in some form or fashion. I believe that what's going on today is a wake-up call to all of us. The issues we have in racism, the issues that we have in immigration, the issues that we have with war once again, the issues that we are living in today, the political issues that come up and the divisiveness that comes from that. All of these things are happening, and it's happening like, bigger than ever before, it seems like, feels like. And what I believe, though, is happening to catch our attention. Because I believe that you and I and people, not just like us, but people everywhere, are going to get tired of it and say there's a better way. And that's when we're going to start to move once again towards the omega point. What's happening today isn't bad or good, it just is. It may feel bad, it may look bad, but it just is. And it's here, I think, to give us an opportunity to show up in such a way that we are different than what we're seeing today. And that takes growth on our part. That takes time. That takes commitment. I mean, I watch the news on TV. A lot of ministers don't, but I happen to do that. I want to know what's going on. I'm not sure the news tells me, but I want to know what's going on. And so what happens is that if I'm not careful, I get caught up in the news. And then I start to have a reaction to a certain situation. And then I start to have an opinion on what should happen. And then I start to judge. I don't know about you, I can do that pretty quickly. And then I have to remind myself that's not who I am or how I want to show up. And the more I do that, the better I get at it. But I'm certainly not perfect at it yet. And then there's this path to the omega point. And number one, I believe that science teaches us we are one. That we're living in oneness. That we're experiencing oneness with each other. Not just in unity, but in the world. When people hurt, I hurt. Because of the media, what they can do with it, and because of, internet and all the digital progress we've made in the last 10 or 15 years. I can feel what other people are feeling and see it. And I feel a responsibility sometimes to reach out and to try and make a difference in some small way. I believe that we can make it to the omega point when we become missional. And what I mean is that our mission is to show up in such a way that we are catalysts for the omega point. You and I have the ability to live in the omega point right now. And as we do that, we attract others into that way of thinking and that way of being. And if we do that, we continue to evolve spiritually, to understand ourselves and others better. The other thing we've got to do, and it's really important, and it's hard to do sometimes because this is the way life is, but we've really got to get out of ourselves. We've got to get on the other side and be open to being led by Spirit as to what is mine to do in the world today. How can I make a difference? It might be a donation to something. It might be taking food to a neighbor. It might be sitting with somebody when they're ill. It might be demonstrating in some form or fashion if that's your call. And by the way, never do that in anger. You only demonstrate our love. So there's a lot of ways that we can show up and be missional. And as we do that, it's going to change the perspective and the way the world is seeing itself. So we get outside ourselves. And then what we have to be a part of is finding new solutions for a new world. New solutions. And that's what our ministries, I believe, are doing today. When Don speaks, when you guys have teachers, when you have the opportunity to grow, what you're learning is what's a new solution for the world I'm living in today. Because it is changing more rapidly than we realize. Did you know that in the first year of COVID, the first year, technology advanced by 6 years in that same period? That's mind-boggling, but that's what's happening today. And all that technology can work together to create new solutions for our new world. Jourdan also said the most telling and profound way of describing the evolution of the universe would undoubtedly be to trace the evolution of love. Love is the power. Most people would say God is love. So if God is love, that power of love is moving through you and me, and we're continuing to evolve through that power. We're continuing to do that by, first of all, loving ourselves. And certainly unity teaches that. That's the first step for healing many times. Love yourself. And then as you love yourself, you're able to open your heart and love others no matter how they show up. Not judge them, but love them. And he also said that the world is round so that friendship may encircle it. I believe one of the reasons that the earth is round is so that the energy, the consciousness of the world doesn't dissipate out into the universe. Instead, it is held back through gravity, the natural law. And as that happens, we're forced to come closer and closer together, not get away from each other. I mean, think about it. It's really difficult not to get away from each other. It's a challenge. But yet, what the universe is saying to us, what the way the world is created, it says that we are going to get closer and closer and closer. And as we get closer, we are going to experience life by the way that we choose to do so. And that is in unity, by allowing divine mind, which you are, to manage your brain. Your brain is not your mind. Your brain is an organ that dies. Divine mind continues forever. And it gives you the ability to direct what you're thinking, direct what you're saying, direct how you show up. And I can see that happening as we create this world that works for all. And as we do that, what happens is the power of imagination comes in. And I'm going to have to do a whole message on imagination. I'm not going to do that. But the power of imagination comes in, and so therefore we become that which is able to make change through that power of imagination. We can demonstrate what we imagine. And if we take that on, we again are using the power of love to drive us forth so that we create that which is needed in the moment. And one of the ways I recommend that we create how we want to show up in the moment is that certainly we talk about meditation, how important it is. And I know for some it's difficult. And what I recommend is don't expect anything out of your meditation. Just meditate. Just be quiet. If it's for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever's right for you, you'll know. So don't judge yourself on your ability or non-ability to meditate, because we all can do that. But what we understand is that as we take time to meditate, there's another thing we need to do. And Bishop Spong taught me this a long time ago. I lived in the same township that he lived in New Jersey. I happened to get the opportunity to meet him. And he talked about meditation, and then he talked about setting intentions. That he set an intention of how he wanted to show up each and every day. That he took time after his meditation time to set an intention of how he's going to show up at every appointment. How he's going to show up with a situation that might be really challenging. And he said when he got in that situation, if he started to get off track, his intention brought him back in alignment. So we can set our intention of how we want to show up. And when we do that, I will quote our friend Pierre Teilhard de Chardin once again. Someday, after mastering the winds and the waves, the tides and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And then, for a second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. That's the travel. That's the journey we're on, mastering love. And so I believe that the Omega Point is going to happen. I believe it's happening now, but it doesn't look like it. And that we can achieve that if we keep in mind unity principle, unity teachings, who and what we are as spiritual beings. Thank you again for allowing me to be here. God bless. So let's gently prepare ourselves for a few moments of silence. We first start off by relaxing ourselves, noticing our breath, and breathing in, holding for a second, and breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. We release anything in this moment that would separate us from oneness. We go to our heart space. through our heart space, we feel the power of love, the power of wisdom, the power of life itself, pulsating through us, through every part of our body, through our arms, our hands, our torso, our legs, even our feet. And it's that energy that lifts us up so that we can be, as Jesus said, experiencing the kingdom of heaven right now. We remind ourselves we are in a very safe space. We can be vulnerable to ourselves. We can allow ourselves to say, I love me. I love everything about me. Because every time I make a mistake, I'm growing. I'm learning. And as I understand that, I experience the power. I experience God within myself. And I know in this very moment, all is well. All is well. And so I come back to the space knowing that all is well. Knowing that love is in charge. And I am that love. You are that love. We are that love. Namaste.
Namaste.
And before I leave, I want to do something, if I may. I want to thank you, once again, Janice. Blair, I want to thank you every time. Thank you so much for the music and how you tie it into the message. And I want to thank each of you for being here this morning, because I know it's easier, now that I'm retired, to stay in bed.
Thank you, Reverend Richard, for showing up as love and sharing your purpose, your mission with us. Yes, yes, yes. I know, I felt it. Did everyone feel it? I felt it. Yes, beautiful.
Amen.
The power of love. So this is our time during the service when we have an opportunity now to give back a portion of all the love we've received. And as we prepare for this, I'd like to welcome anyone who's here for the first time, anyone here in the sanctuary here for the first time. Hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, it's a glorious, glorious day for you. You can't see this online, but one of the two people just gave a heart sign. So I think you'll be back. We hope you'll be back, yes. And I'd like to also acknowledge anyone who's watching us online, who's visiting with us for the first time. We welcome you, and maybe we'll see you here in our sanctuary at some point. There are many ways to give to Unity of Charlottesville online. Text to give. Text to give is so simple. This number here, you text that number, and you're automatically taken to an opportunity to join text to give, the program for that. And then after you do that, all you have to do is text that number and enter the amount for your tithe, your offering, and it automatically goes through. And there's the U.S. mail, or give when you're here into our butterfly net. John is coming around with our butterfly net for those of you who want to donate now here in person. So let's bless our tithes and offerings. We are so, first let me just say how grateful, I can't forget that part, how grateful we all are for your generosity. I've said this before and I'll say it again, not just the financial piece, but your generosity in serving in multiple ways, whether it's on the blessing team, the music team, the sound team, and one day we're going to have all of those other teams back here at Unity of Charlottesville, all 30 plus of them, right? They'll be back someday, one day. Okay, so go ahead, John, and let's go ahead and sing our blessing. Our blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Feel free to stand if you're moved and able. Enjoy the reggae vibe.
No more fighting, hearts uniting, all one people, all one dream. Hate is dying, love is rising, on a world awakening. Children
Yes. All right.
Much better that way.
A little reggae at Unity of Charlottesville. Yeah, Blair during rehearsal said, "You want to try reggae?" And we heard it, we all went, "Yes, yes, 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 yes."
Much better that way.
So we have some announcements. We have hospitality today. Thanks to Marge, I understand. We have, and Chrissy. Okay, we have hospitality downstairs. And if you want to help on a future Sunday, we'd love to have more Sunday hospitality dates. For now, we have the commitment to the first Sunday of every month. And midweek healing service. Yes, our midweek healing service. Join us to request prayers and support others in their prayer requests. This is Zoom every Wednesday night from 6:30 to 7. And I unfortunately can't attend because of my work schedule, but I hear it's powerful and miraculous, the things that are taking place for people who are participating. And next we have Ginger's monthly book study. Ginger Collier is continuing with her Saturday 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Zoom. Next date is the 13th of August. She leads a study group to discuss the new book, Jesus Joins the Dialogue. So please, if you want to join the study group, you can reach Ginger at v.collier@earthlink.net. And we have an encounter with Jewish mysticism coming with Rabbi Bernie Kling, Wednesday, August 24th at 7:30 on Zoom. Suggested love offering is $10, but nobody will be turned away. More details and registration info are coming soon. And next we have the Charlottesville Pride Fair Unity Table. Charlottesville Pride celebration takes place on September 18th. There'll be a street fair and fun day. If you want to volunteer to staff the Unity Welcome Table, contact Maria Stein or the Unity office. Pastoral care. Yes, we always have pastoral care here at Unity. You can call the office or email pastoralcare@unitycharlottesville.org if you're in need of pastoral care. And virtual fellowship, every Sunday after service, we have virtual fellowship via Zoom. And there will be someone every single Sunday hosting the virtual fellowship. From Facebook, you look for a link in the chat. From the Unity Charlottesville website, click the gray bar at the top of our homepage. Now, I spoke to Bob yesterday who said that when you go on to the unitycharlottesville.org site, it's more like a little blue place and there's a white link to click on. He asked me to specifically share that with y'all. Children's blessing. We don't have any kids today because our wonderful Mark Boston is not here today. You're pointing. Hi! Hello, what's your name? What's your name? Garrett? Hi, Garrett. Well, you're representing all the children from everywhere today. Thank you for being here.
Bless him.
Reverend Mark Boston will be back next week. So I want to thank everybody who participated today to Children's Blessing. Thank you, Ann. I know if I forget something, y'all won't let me. You'll remind me, right? I have faith in that. So Children's Blessing, children, unities, YOUers, teachers and parents. You are loved, special, and important. Now, I want to thank everybody who was involved in making this beautiful morning happen. First of all, Reverend Richard Bunch, thank you so much. Thank you for your wisdom. Greg and Maggie in the sound booth. We have Cindy and John on our blessing team today. John. We have Blair Jones. We love her dearly, don't we, everybody? Yes. And Kevin and Jim. And I'm also on the praise singers. Yay. So, yay. Have I forgotten anybody? Please let me know if I have. Okay. All right. Let's say our prayer for protection and sing our peace song. Hey. Prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us.
The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And wherever God is, all is well.
I forgot to mention we have our healing helpers over in the corner with PMH and Kevin. And I don't believe we have anyone here today for individual prayer. I think I'm accurate about that. So the healing helpers in the corner. Let's sing our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
So let's take now in this moment and prepare ourselves to go out, to be who we're meant to be, to experience life with joy, with love, with understanding, and to enjoy ourselves and all we encounter in this beautiful week to come. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Welcome.